Hello and welcome back. Today we are reviewing the Anker Powercore 737. This thing is absolutely massive with a 24,000 milliamp hour battery. So just to get started here, I've been using this for a couple of months now, maybe a good 2 to 3 months, and this power bank has not failed to exceed my expectations except for one small thing. I really like this power bank. I like that it has a display on it which will tell you things like the battery temperature, all kinds of good stuff. You can even see how many cycles you have on the battery, how many screen uses, the amount of total input and output you've had with the battery, and if you click over one more screen, you actually get an option for an auto screen off, which is really nice. But there's one small issue with this power bank, and that is that it runs out of battery really quickly. At first I was concerned with maybe did I get a defective model? Did something happen? It seems like all of my older power banks that are 10,000 milliamp hours, a lot smaller than this, lasted a lot longer. But then I also have to consider one thing is the things that I'm charging, like an iPad, a MacBook here. I mean, they're much higher voltage than everything else, so it's okay when I'm charging things like my phone, but if you plan on charging your Mac or your iPad with this, it will run out of battery pretty quick. So for ports, you're going to see 2 Type-C ports and 1 USB-A port. So the C1 port is capable of full power for charging, so whenever you're charging it, it goes up to the full 140 watts. And the C2 port, you cannot charge, it's an output port only, but both ports do support 100 watt continuous output. And then for the USB-A port, you're going to get a maximum of 30 watts, which isn't horrible, isn't the best, but it isn't horrible. Now, let's talk about price. So this thing is kind of pricey, coming in at about $200, or sometimes you can find it on sale on Anker's website for about $159.99. But with tax, you're gonna, the price is gonna be a little bit higher. This thing has a lot of power, so I would say it's worth it. But let me show you a couple of the things here with charging, discharging, all that good stuff. Here I have my MacBook Air 2020 M1, which charges at a maximum of 47 watts. So I have the included USB-C cable here that has a maximum of 140 watts. Another complaint is in the box it does not come with a power adapter of any sort, so if you do want to charge this at 140 watts, you're going to have to buy a separate power adapter just like I did. I was able to find a decent cheap one on Amazon it does around 120 watts. It's supposed to do 140. It does 120, 126, which is perfectly fine. It does get the power bank charged pretty quickly. I have a time lapse to show that later on in the video. But to start off, if we plug into our C1 port here, you're going to see the display activate, and you're going to see it's going to come up with a different screen whenever we plug in the Mac. So you see right now it just has the circle letting you know that the power bank is at 100%. If we plug it in here, you're going to notice that it actually tells you how many watts are going out of the power bank. Right now my MacBook is charging at a solid 43.5, 42.9, somewhere around there in the 40-ish watts range. Now it also does tell you how much time you have before the power bank dies. So right now I have about 2 hours that I can continuously charge my MacBook for at the wattage that it's going at now. Now of course this will fluctuate a little bit as the battery in the MacBook gets higher charge. It'll start taking lower wattages. This is really nice to have, and it's very useful. Sometimes whenever you have a dead device, I actually just used this earlier, I wanted to plug it into my power bank to see if it was taking in any power at all. That's just kind of a niche feature, but can be useful every once in a while. This is actually faster than the power adapter that my Mac comes with. My Mac comes with a 30 watt power adapter, but it does support up to 47 watts of charging. So you can charge all kinds of devices with this. Even though it only has 3 ports on the top, it's still decent. You can connect an adapter if you want to give you a couple more ports for every now and then when you just need those extra ports for more devices. If you're like me and you have 1,000 devices, sometimes you do need to do that. But other else than that, it works pretty well. I can charge my Mac, my iPad, and my iPhone all at the same time, all with fast charging. The MacBook will pull about 47 watts, the iPad will pull 30 watts, and the phone will pull right around 23. So you can charge all kinds of devices with this. It's a super neat power bank, and I'm trying to keep this review kind of short because I don't want to bore anybody, especially with attention spans. They're getting shorter every day. Overall, this is just a quick review. This power bank is definitely the power bank for you if you're looking for something that's kind of powerful but also not as big as a generator. Now that brings me to my next point, is the weight of this device. So you'll see I have a carrying case here on the table which it came with. And this is nice. I like that they included this. It's nice that whenever I'm done with the power bank, I can just kind of put it back into its little carrying case and just grab the 2 little strings and tie it up. So I can just carry it like that. Now the weight of this thing is going to come in at almost 2 pounds, so this thing is definitely heavy, and with how tiny the device is, that kind of feels like more than 2 pounds. But you're getting 4,000 milliamp hours divided between 6 cells, and you're going to have a maximum power output of 140 watts in total, and you can go up to 28 volts at 5 amps, so this thing's definitely packing a punch. Now if you're wondering about TSA, airport, taking this thing on an airline, obviously this thing kind of looks like a small bomb, so yes, this is allowed. You are allowed to take this on to an airport, but barely. The maximum, at least in my area, for the TSA is 27,000 milliamp hours. So this thing is coming in at 24,000 milliamp hours, so you're just right under the legal limit. But yes, you can take this with you on an airplane and stay juiced up all the way. Now, another thing about cosmetics is I've noticed that this thing likes to scratch really easily. So I'll see if I can get it on camera view here, but this thing does scratch pretty easily. I did hook it onto my camera with the small rig power bank mount, and I developed all these scratches just from using it a couple times. So not the best, but I'm not really complaining. I didn't buy it for cosmetics, I bought it for pure power. So if you're looking to charge multiple MacBooks, multiple iPads, multiple iPhones, this is the device for you. I usually typically charge this thing once a week, you know, depending on how much I use it. If I charge my MacBook, my phone, and my iPad all on the same day, then I have to charge it by the end of the night. This thing will last you. I mean, I can charge my phone on this for hours and hours and hours before this power bank is totally dead. I would take this to school with me. I would charge it every day in last block, and I'd be good for a week and a half, sometimes even 2 weeks almost. In the 3-ish months that I've had it, I've only had to charge it 17 times. Now granted, I don't use it every day, I don't use full power on it every day, but only having to charge this thing 17 times and owning it for about 3-ish months is a pretty big deal. Now, let's say you're using the USB-A port to charge something that's maybe a little bit lower powered. Maybe it's only going to take a watt or two to charge. Maybe like some older models of headphones or something of that nature. There is an option where you can double tap the button. See the button on the side here. You can double tap the button and you'll see a green dot appear on the left corner, the upper left corner of the screen here. Now that's going to keep this power bank running. So when you're charging something with just a watt or two, sometimes that will kick the power bank off because it doesn't really realize that it's putting out power. But as long as you double tap that button on the side here to give you that green dot, they call it trickle charge mode. So this will work for any low powered devices, charging devices that are maybe charging a little bit slower. You're just gonna go ahead and turn that mode on, and then you'll be all good. You don't have to worry about it stopping charging. I've had this happen quite a few times with older power banks and stuff, where I'll be charging a lower powered device and it doesn't actually think it's really charging anything, so it will just shut off, and I have to keep tapping the button to turn it back on. So I do like that they included that feature. It is definitely nice. They do say to turn off the screen whenever you're using it in order to save battery. I've had the screen on while charging stuff. It really doesn't use a bunch of power, but if you absolutely need to save every bit of juice, then I would probably keep the screen off whenever you're charging a device. Another cool thing about this is it does have an auto rotate feature for the screen. So if you're charging upside down, if you kind of have it tilted like this and you're charging like that, all you have to do is just flip it up real quick and the screen will flip towards you. So you do get a little bit of an auto rotate feature there. Yeah, I pretty much take this thing with me everywhere I go. I charge absolutely everything with it. Even my drone batteries, my camera batteries, I can just kind of throw everything on it and I don't have to worry about the power bank dying. So good job, Anker, on this one. This is an absolutely amazing power bank. I've had lots of power banks before, and this is definitely the most powerful one I've ever had. And it definitely beats its competitors. There is a Shark Geek 2 power bank that came out, and it has it's like all cool. It has transparency, so you can actually see inside the device, but it still only has that 100 watt output total versus this having the extra 40 watts. It is like $50 more expensive. So I would say this power bank is definitely the powerhouse power bank if you need to charge a bunch of high powered devices like a Mac and iPad, you know, whatever it is that you may be charging. Buy this power bank now. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the next one. Peace.